have a guest now, and he's been on the program a few times before because he's very entertaining. He's a unique fellow. He's got a great website, coloradoguy.com.
He was the first guy we interviewed when we came over here to Mile High Sports.
That is correct.
So it's a little bit ironic.
Yes, don't you think? Anyway, he's written a book, and the book is called Under a Triumphant Sky, A Bike Across America Story. I've read the book. I love the book. And joining us right now is the author, Steve Garuffi. Good evening, Steve.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Andy.
What's
so
happening?
Great to be back on your show. How are you guys doing?
We're doing very well. You're probably doing better than we are because you love the snow, and there's plenty of it here.
It is. I'm here in Buena Vista, and it's snowing hard, and it's 7 degrees right now.
How much?
It's
You're
a winter
pumped.
wonderland.
Did you guys get buried up there, or did you get much? How much you get?
Oh, it's not. I don't know, 6 inches.
Oh,
maybe
we
a
probably
little
got more. We might have got more.
Now, Steve is going to be signing books at Johnny's New York Pizza on Tuesday night, 5:30 to 8. And if there's a line outside the shop, he'll keep signing until he runs out of books. Anyway, Steve, we're looking forward to having you here in Lakewood. Johnny is one of our favorite places to eat, a good sponsor and friend of the show. And when people meet you, you said you encourage hugs.
I do. Well, I mean, if the person knows me and it's appropriate, sure. But, yeah, I'm a laid-back guy, and I definitely don't want a boring, stodgy type of book signing. I want people having fun, laughing, feeling inspiration, and, just having a good time.
Well, when people read this book, I do believe they will be inspired. What is some of the feedback you've gotten so far from people who have read the book?
Oh, wow. I could go on for a long time about that. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. People just talk about how they feel like they're right there with me on the bicycle as I talk about what I saw and the people I encountered and how tired I was. And some of my readers have really talked about how they've had dreams. They dreamed of doing some kind of travel expedition or whatever their desires were as a child, their childhood dreams. And some have told me it really has challenged them to really rethink whether or not they should pursue their dreams, the desires of their heart. So that's been really positive.
Steve, what's the next major adventure for you on the horizon?
There is a river in New Jersey named the Passaic River. And I actually kayaked it about 15 years ago. It's in northern New Jersey, and it's kind of notorious for being very polluted, and it goes through many urban areas of New Jersey. I am mulling going back and maybe doing another boat ride and writing another book. I think it would be a really interesting story about, just all the stuff. And New Jersey isn't really known as a state where you do outdoor adventures and that kind of thing.
No, it's known for survival,
kind of an
though.
Interesting play.
It's definitely an area where you got to have good survival skills, though.
Well, yeah, like with carjackings and
Exactly.
being mugged and or whatever. Yeah.
How long is the Passaic River?
The Passaic River is it's about 80 to 90 miles, and it kind of squiggles throughout northern New Jersey.
Squiggles, I like that
finishes
word.
Near Newark, New Jersey.
Hey, do you own a GoPro?
I do not.
On one of these adventures, you got to get a GoPro, put it on the bike, and film some of this action, or the kayak.
Or better yet, GoPro should sponsor
there
Steve.
we go. Let's do that.
I do. I'm a poor writer, so I can't afford all these gadgets like a GoPro or whatever. But yeah, that is a really good idea, and I have thought about it because I do take many pictures. So even if I took photos from a boat, I'd be really worried about dropping my camera in the water or,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Get some live video going. I'm telling you, this is huge. How about this one? Have you ever rafted or kayaked the Grand Canyon?
No, I haven't. I hear that's really dangerous. And my kayaking skills aren't that good.
We had a previous intern who went through the Grand Canyon,
Chris O'Neill.
Chris O'Neill.
And he nearly died, didn't he?
No, that was on a different one. Yeah.
Oh.
No, it wasn't him. He almost killed his fiance, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Caitlin, yeah. He
Yeah,
saved
well,
her.
the woman who designed my book cover, she went on a guided trip. I think it took her about 8 or 9 days.
Right, they camp along the way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our guest is Steve Garuffi. His website is coloradoguy.com. You can get his book either at Johnny's this Tuesday, where he's having a book signing. Johnny's New York Pizza is located on Wadsworth, just north of Mississippi, in that shopping plaza there. Or you can get it online at Amazon.com. And Steve, when you when people read this book and they do come up to you, what is the one or two stories they bring up most?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Well, I'll bounce one off you.
Yeah, first of all, getting my bike stolen.
Yeah, I was going to say that you did face adversity on this trip. It wasn't just overcoming fatigue and meeting people along the way. You had some serious adversity.
Oh, I sure did, yeah. I mean, the stolen bike story was a huge one. Just figuring out what I was going to do. And I actually had a friend, come through and bail me out, and I worked for him later on to pay him back. That's definitely a big story. But then even I had the new bike. I bought a new bike, and the first day going out, I had all sorts of problems with flat tires. Then I actually inadvertently looped the cycling chain, and I just had a huge meltdown in the desert. And so people definitely can relate to all the hard times I had. And I don't know what to say. A lot of just friends have just said, Steve, I can relate in other areas of my life where I was going after something, I was going after a goal, and then everything just went terrible. So. And
it obviously, so you had those points where you're about ready to quit. Is there a specific one besides the bike obviously being stolen? That makes it tough. But other points where you're like right there and something pulled you back and just said keep going, or what?
Well, yeah, and definitely when I bought the new bike and I went out, and then I had mechanical problems out there about 30, 40 miles east of Phoenix. I did almost want to quit. And it was a couple of friends who talked to me, and I remember my one friend, Phil, who's in Phoenix, and he said, Steve, you just need to go to bed and sleep this off and think about it in the morning, because your head's just not in a good place right now. You're tired. You're in the heat. And that was the best advice that he ever gave me. And even to this day, that's the advice I give to people if they're thinking about quitting or if they have a really bad day. I just say, you know what, go to sleep. Sleep on it, and let's just see what it looks like in the morning. And usually things are a little brighter, the next day.
Steve, people may come up to you and say, hey, I want to ride across the country on my bike, but I have no idea how to go about it. What's the advice you give people?
First of all, the obvious thing is you need money and time. That's obvious. Somehow you have to figure out, getting roughly 6 to 8 weeks or maybe 10 to 12 weeks where you're not working or you don't have responsibilities and you have money in your pocket. But then after that, the main thing is you really just need cycling experience. Because in a lot of ways, if you think about it, if you exercise every day or if you ride your bike every day, that's kind of like what biking across America is. The main difference is you're just going in one line each day across the country. So, so that's like the first thing is it's not really that much different. And then secondly, you got to kind of figure out, are you going to camp? Are you going to stay in motels? Will you have somebody following you in a vehicle who will, carry all your gear? So that's another factor.
Well, you went by yourself, no sag wagon or whatever they call it. You had your saddlebags. How heavy was the bike? What are some of the things you took with you?
I didn't carry a lot. I didn't carry camping gear, so I stayed in motels, the cheapest motels I could find. I mean, I just had spare clothing. I had all of my bicycle tools. I had my bag with things like deodorant and toothpaste and my toothbrush. And then I just had some basics like my camera, my cell phone charger. I did not bring a lot, and you can't because you can't have a bike that's too heavy that you're lugging around across the country.
It must have been fun for you when you would encounter people, say in Louisiana or wherever it is, and they say, "Where are you coming from?" "Oh, I started in San Diego, and I'm on my way to Georgia." That must have blown people's minds when they saw you on the road.
Once I got to the middle part of the country, in Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, yeah, people would be blown away. And they knew I was for real because they could just see that I had so little with me, but I did have at least my vital things and my spare clothing. the funny thing was when I first started in California, I would tell people, and people wouldn't even like think twice about it because I was, near the ocean, and they probably thought, well, he's probably not even going to finish. And then at the very end of my trip, when I was getting to Georgia, then I was just one of many bicyclists biking along the beach, and nobody thought anything of it. So that's kind of interesting.
Steve Garufi is our guest. His book is Under a Triumphant Sky, a Bike Across America story. Steve, day one, what kind of shape were you in? Final day, what kind of shape were you in?
Yeah, here's the first day, obviously I wasn't in very good shape. But see, here's the thing. I live in Buena Vista, which is it's just a very cold and snowy place in the winter. So I couldn't do any bicycle riding throughout the winter. And for both of my Bike Across America rides, I started in February. So I would just do indoor gym workouts, which definitely helped, but it doesn't compare to actually getting on a bike and riding for 5 or 6 hours a day. So yeah, I was definitely out of shape for minimum of the first week. The beauty about biking across America is you do get into shape as you go. And obviously at the end, I'm telling you guys, my legs were like legs of steel, and I was a cardiovascular machine.
How long before you got to that pit? Was it like the first 10 days that were the roughest, and then it's once you get over the hump, what was that?
Yeah, that hump. Yeah, both times the hump was roughly around 7 to 10 days.
Okay, yeah. And then once you get past that, you feel even better. But because it's got to be a period there where you're just not in shape enough and you're just dying.
Well, but make no mistake, even 3 to 4 weeks into my trip, where I'm over halfway done, there's still this awful exhaustion every night, where I get into bed in some motel room, and it's like 8 o'clock, and my body's just like, oh.
What's the most number of hours you rode in one day?
There was one day where the winds were really strong in West Texas, and they were at my back, and I went 127 miles.
Jeez.
So.
Pretty impressive. Now, you're an Italian guy, Steve, correct?
That is correct. I'm an Italian-American.
What do you plan to order at Johnny's New York Pizza on Tuesday night?
I love chicken parm.
Oh.
So I might get the chicken parm, but then definitely pizza. I love pizza.
His chicken parm is great. Johnny's has great meatballs as well. Everything there is good. Andy can vouch for that. So we're looking forward to seeing you again on Tuesday night at Johnny's New York Pizza from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. Come on down, meet Steve, take pictures, get a book, and have some great grub over at Johnny's. And I think it'll be well worth your time to come on by. Steve, as always, a pleasure. Any parting thoughts?
I'm looking forward to getting back to Denver. I usually get back about once a year. There's a number of old friends who plan to meet me. I also went to graduate school in Denver, so there should be a couple of fellow students I went to school with that I'm meeting, and I just look forward to meeting people. And definitely for anyone who is thinking about biking across America, or if they have questions, definitely I'll be there and I'll answer people's questions about how I did it, or whatever they're thinking about with going cross country.
Well, sounds good. I will be there. Andy's going to go. We'll try to get young Mike to go along. And maybe Kyle can go too. But it's well worth it. Great book. I loved it. I might actually get a book for a friend of mine who would enjoy it. So, Steve Garufi, thank you very much. Have a safe trip to Denver, and we'll see you Tuesday at Johnny's New York Pizza.
Thanks a lot. I'll see you Tuesday.
That's good. Thanks, Steve.
That's Steve Garufi. His website is coloradoguy.com. This is Artificial Turf on Mile High Sports Radio. And when we come back, we have some turf news for you. And we'll bandy about a couple of other things as well. So stay with us. www.turfsports.net is the website. Bill Rogan, Andy Cornell, Mike Mullen, and we'll be right back after this.